The workshop smelled of burnt wires and machine oil, a testament to the years of tireless effort poured into a single pursuit. Jacob slumped over his workbench, exhaustion overtaking him. Tools lay scattered around, and the faint hum of an incomplete circuit whispered in the background. He was so close, he could feel it. The time machine, the dream of humanity for centuries, was within reach. His calculations were precise, his theories groundbreaking. But the physical toll of endless trial and error had worn him thin. Tonight, he told himself, was the final push. Jacob's obsession with time travel began in his teenage years. Countless late nights spent devouring books on quantum mechanics and theoretical physics had evolved into a full-fledged ambition. He sacrificed friendships, relationships, and any semblance of a normal life in pursuit of his goal. His peers admired his brilliance but pitted his loneliness. None of it mattered to Jacob. He was driven by a singular purpose: to break the chains of time and explore its infinite possibilities. Years turned into decades, and the once vibrant young scientist had become a haggard figure, his face etched with lines of determination and frustration. Every failure pushed him deeper into isolation. He'd made breakthroughs, discoveries that would have earned him fame and fortune if he had shared them with the world. But Jacob had no interest in accolades. All he wanted was to finish the machine. That night, as he worked under the flickering light of his desk lamp, his body began to betray him. His hands trembled, his vision blurred, and his thoughts grew sluggish. He hadn't eaten in over a day, and sleep was a distant memory. He pressed on, soldering circuits and tightening bolts until his head grew heavy. His eyes closed against his will, and he fell into a deep, dreamless sleep, slumped over the workbench. When Jacob awoke, the first thing he noticed was the silence. The hum of the incomplete circuit was gone. He sat up, groaning as his stiff muscles protested. His workshop looked different. The clutter was gone, replaced by a clean, organized space. The tools were neatly arranged, and the workbench, his chaotic sanctuary, was spotless. Panic set in as he realized he didn't recognize some of the equipment. Advanced machinery he'd never seen before occupied the room, sleek and futuristic. He stumbled to his feet, his heart racing. How long had he been asleep? The clock on the wall was gone, replaced by a digital interface embedded in the wall. He approached it cautiously, pressing buttons until a date flashed on the screen. It was 30 years later. Jacob staggered back, his mind reeling. 30 years. He'd slept for 3 decades. How was that possible? His body didn't feel 30 years older. His hair, his hands, they were the same as he remembered. He caught his reflection in a polished surface and confirmed it. He hadn't aged a day. Before he could make sense of it, the door to the workshop slid open with a soft hiss. A man entered, and Jacob froze. The man was older, his hair streaked with gray, his posture confident. But his face was unmistakable. It was Jacob, or rather an older version of him. The older Jacob smiled, a mixture of amusement and relief. "You're awake," he said, his voice steady and calm. "Good. We have a lot to talk about." Jacob's mind raced. "Who are you?" he demanded, though the answer was obvious. "What is this? What's going on?"